Okay, just 25k standing to go. K-drives are the second vehicle type added to Warframe, acting as a land-based alternative to the Arcwing, which was faster, easier to get, and oh yeah, it could just fly, but that's okay. There's a lot of caves and covered areas in open world maps, so in those cases you can use the K-drive for faster movement than... So, yeah. K-drives are probably the second worst method of transportation in the game, second to just sprinting across the plains of Eidolon in a necromech. In contrast to that, though, I would say they have some of the most development and detail put into them. Modular part selection, content on multiple open worlds, and an entire syndicate of skate punks with their own unique slang and style based on skate culture. And I think it's that extra level of detail that makes K-drives one of the most appealing pieces of side content in Warframe. An extra option for when you're done with relic grinding and Archon hunting, to just have the option to sit back, grab your board, and hit the streets. Or ice trails? The first K-drive you'll get, and probably the only K-drive most players nowadays even have for previously mentioned flying / super speed / motorcycle related factors, is the Bondi K-drive, a modless, customizationless, and absolutely auraless starter board that doesn't show up in your arsenal and can't be leveled. It's deployed when you activate your K-drive launcher gear, but is automatically reduced to cosmic dust the moment you craft or buy a legit board. Said legit boards are assembled with the vent kids in Fortuna, who in a twist are actually sequestered away in the vents. And they require a little bit of exploration to find, or you can just use the radial menu. These robot kid hybrids operate on a purely gnar-based economy, where they sell goods related to skating in exchange for standing gained exclusively through skating. Once you've saved up enough points, you can finally buy the parts you need to customize your very own bespoke K-drive. Each K-drive is composed of 4 parts: the board, reactor, nose, and jets. You'll only have access to 4 parts to begin with, but you'll unlock sleeker, more powerful ones as you progress. And using your intuition, you can craft a K-drive that truly suits your playstyle. Nah, I'm just kidding. These parts are entirely cosmetic. There's actually no reason to build any more drives after you craft the initial version out of parts that look like they've been excavated from Asmongold's house, save for aesthetic preference. But even then, I can turn my junk drive into the greatest vehicle of all time with one simple trick. Bug. By the way, you can buy Velocipod skins for your boards from Sun in the Necrolisk. Highly recommended. So now you've got your board. Oh, wait. No, you don't have your board, because getting the parts requires getting standing with the vent kids, and no matter how many times I ask, Roki won't just let me plaster a vent kid sigil on my Warframe and murderize thousands of enemies in Sanctuary Onslaught. Nope, the only way to get vent kids standing is either tricks or racing. A lot of people will tell you you only need to do tricks to reach your standing cap every day. Hell, a lot of people will tell you all you need to do is grind in a circle for 20 minutes at the Pearl to get your standing, but these people have forgotten a fundamental truth, that video games are supposed to be fun, actually, and unfortunately, they will be reincarnated as ants in their next lives. The tricking system in Warframe isn't exactly Tony Hawk, but it still has some depth, so like... Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, maybe? K-drives can boost with your sprint key, grind with your crouch key, and jump with... well... Now, looking at the trick list on the wiki may be enough to reduce the soul of a lesser gamer to ash, but I'm here to tell you that it's actually pretty simple. You see, tricks fall into 3 main categories: spins, flips, and grabs. Spins are done with a spacebar and a directional input, while flips are done with right-click and a direction. Every spin and flip can then be modified by holding left-click to do it with a grab, giving more points at the cost of taking longer to complete and risking a wipeout. Raking in immense dividends comes from hitting as many tricks as possible without hitting the ground, hitting jumps between grind rails, and going nuts. This fills up both your trick score and trick multiplier, which are multiplied together, Balatro reference, for your total score at the end of a combo, with the maximum points you can get from a combo being 3,000, or 6,000 with some modly intervention, but more on that later. Just make sure not to spam one trick too much, lest you be slapped with the mark of the beast. Copy Kavat is a debuff you incur if you spam one trick too many times, making it so that trick won't increase your multiplier anymore. It's important to maintain a variety of tricks. And again, don't wipe out, because that's both embarrassing and trashes your combo. You can also participate in K-drive races, which give you a fixed amount of standing based on the length of the race. You'll have to bet a certain amount of standing on the race to start it. The exact numbers are 5 standing per gate in a race to start it, and a reward of 200 standing per gate upon completion. Races happen on the Orb Vallis and Cambion Drift, with 5 races being available each day. And you know these are better than committing Grind-A-Side over at the Pearl, because they come with a leaderboard reflecting the daily scores for that race. And as we all know, bragging rates are way better than any prime loot. Also, several races in the Cambion Drift have loot tied to them, letting you get infested K-Drive parts like the Gristlebuck and the Steba. Everything that earns you standing will also earn you an equal amount of affinity for your K-Drive. Yup, that's right. These hellboards have levels and mod capacity like everything else, and you better crack open that Forma supply, because some of the mods for these things are expensive. K-Drive mods fit into 3 categories: the absolutely necessary, the borderline mandatory, and the utterly superfluous. The big ones are Extreme Velocity and Nitro Boost, which increase your K-Drive's regular and boost speed respectively. Vapor Trail is also what I'd consider to be a core mod, giving a huge flat boost bonus at the cost of 10 energy per second. To balance this out, you'll need Juice, which gives you energy after landing a trick chain based on your current score. Those are the 4 mods I'd say every K-Drive needs, and they'll actually make your K-Drive's boost speed faster than an Atomocycle. But there are several other useful ones: trick and point manipulation for farming standing and affinity, grind mods, jump and gravity mods, and a surprising amount of mods intent on turning your K-Drive into an actual weapon. Gonna be honest, gang, these are all kinda completely unusable. As much as the idea of strapping a bunch of knives to your board and launching it at speed towards an unsuspecting service worker's Achilles tendons is, the numbers just do not equate to good damage. Thrash Landing is the only mod that really scales, but combining it with Primo Flare and comboing for a full minute straight just to do 2,400 damage in a 4-meter radius is a Herculean task that would make even Stug Maxers complain about time to kill. Biggest tragedy to all this, though, is that all the K-Drive mods are locked to the Vent Kids Syndicate, where you need to use your K-Drive to get the standing to rank up and buy them. And the particularly valuable mods that, you know, make K-Drives a viable transport option above Atomocycles are unlocked only at the highest tier of the Vent Kids Syndicate. I feel like that's sort of the opposite of how it should be, right? Get the practical core mods for something first, and then unlock other forms of gameplay expression as time goes on. Turning that flow on its head creates a progression system that many players will just choose to ignore, since they'll have to grind through several weeks of gristle with a cruddy K-Drive to even get a grasp of the shiny good stuff. This ends up making K-Drives the worst thing imaginable in Warframe. An island. I remember a few years ago, the main discussion around Warframe was about removing content islands. Places somewhat separated from the main progression of Warframe, where you'd show up, farm for drops or standing or whatever, and then leave, never to return. I, personally, think K-Drives are even worse, because at least with open worlds and syndicates, you get weapons, warframes, and mods you can carry over to other locations, and some really good ones at that. Investing time in K-driving will only provide you with more K-driving, and conversely, the only actual way to upgrade your K-drive is to use your K-drive. But, I mean, that's fine, right? K-driving is an island, sure, but it's also an island where all that goes on is a skateboarding minigame, and sure, if you do invest the time necessary to unlock everything available, you get a board/bug that's able to outpace an Atomocycle, but the Arcwing still exists as a transport option available to everyone that's the absolute best at getting you to where you want to be as quickly as possible. So if you don't want to play skateboards, you don't have to. No harm done. The Skate Island inhabitants are happy, the Warframe grinders who wouldn't touch K-driving with a 10-foot pole are happy, and the system is at peace. But what if? What if these two worlds collided? What if K-driving stopped being an island? Yareli is the K-driving Warframe, so it's only fitting that she'd also be covered in this video. Despite looking like Sailor Moon, I'd say she's actually more akin to the Green Goblin with the amount of mass destruction she causes while riding around on her hoverboard. Or more appropriately, her hover fish? The amount of bullshit Yareli can pull off with her kit could fill a library. A library about the size of a 10-minute YouTube video, sure, but I've got more important things to do. So let's focus on the important stuff. Merulina is Yareli's built-in K-drive that has access to the K-drive's entire moveset. Merulina can also perform a dash with the roll key, which is key to maneuvering Yareli's now 6'8" physique through doorways and ship corridors. Merulina also, being an ability rather than a vehicle, is the only K-drive you can actually use in regular missions. Merulina can do tricks to get standing with the Vent Kids, grind on rails, is completely immune to crashing, and also can't be modded in any way. This is a generational fumble, that the actual Exalted K-drive can't use any of the mods you probably got while trying to unlock her. Oh, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Hey, do you want to know how to unlock Yareli? I mean, she's just one Warframe, right? Whatever you have to do to unlock her can't be that bad, right? I absolutely hate this quest. It serves no purpose other than railroading people into using a system that nobody asked for and nobody wanted. to unlock a Warframe that otherwise can only be bought with Platinum. It's another example of DE forcing us to play the game how they want us to play it, instead of giving people options on approaching it from whatever players like the most. This is Warframe, not Tony Hawk. I don't load up Warframe wanting to play Tony Hawk, nor do I care about Tony Hawk, or ever want to be involved with Tony Hawk. For me, and I'm sure I can speak for people like me as well, this quest is a chore at best, and a PETA at worst. PETA. Oh, he probably meant pain in the ass. Oh, that makes a lot more sense, actually, yeah. The Wave Rider was the quest introduced in mid-2021 alongside Yareli, and involved undertaking various challenges to unlock pages of a comic book that, once all collected, would reward you with Yareli's blueprint. And people fucking hated it! At release, the Wave Rider quest required you to hunt down 5 different pages of the Wave Rider comic, with each page having 5 different challenges tied to it. These challenges tasked the player with completing a variety of different feats of K-Drive mastery, and in a bizarre mix-up for Warframe, these objectives could actually be kind of challenging to complete. And I mean, fair to DE for choosing to make the K-Driving quest actually require a decent amount of chops with the medium to complete. After all, at this point, K-Driving had been in the game for 3 whole years. It wasn't crazy to imagine people would have gotten pretty good at it by this point. But there's the problem. Sure, there were some K-Drive aficionados who could pull off a max rank full speed combo during a race with their eyes closed, but the majority of Warframe players didn't care about K-Driving at all. Up until this point, that was fine. All they were missing out on by not using K-Drives was extra K-Drive customization and mods. But now an entirely new Warframe was on the line, and word through the grapevine was that she was actually pretty good. Now you have the average player base of Warframe. People who signed up to play the funny third-person shooter about committing mass atrocities against hordes of enemies, being forced to interact with the highest APM mechanics still in the game since DE removed the original combo system. When you lay it out like that, it's totally understandable that some people crashed out and completely gave up on pursuing Yareli altogether. I mean, I didn't, but then again, I'm a post-Y2K young-blooded gamer in his prime, with agile reflexes and digits. I also play a wide variety of games, and as such am more open to Warframe's more eccentric side content. Eventually, DE relented and not only reduced the amount of feats needed to unlock Yareli, but also made those feats much simpler to achieve, as well as including tutorials on how to complete each one. This turned a several-hour quest that actually felt like a test of your ability to use a K-Drive into a 20-minute excursion that feels really more like a tutorial than anything. But again, your average Warframe player plays Warframe to play Warframe, so I understand why DE made the change, even though I personally disagree with it and think if you can't prove your planking skills, you're ultimately unworthy of wielding the Wave Rider's power. Don't even think about buying her from the market. I see you. But it's an interesting gameplay case study, right? I mean, Warframe players will put up with a lot of crap to get their goodies. Arbitrations, relic farming, pathos clamps, the entirety of the defense game mode. But all those fall under the umbrella of traditional Warframe gameplay. No matter what happens or how long it takes, the core gameplay remains the same. You are Space Ninja with gun. An entire stadium's worth of enemies is trying to kill you, so kill them first with the most terrifying weapons of war known to man. Conversely, K-Driving is seen as side content that people can interact with if they feel like, that will reward players investing their time with better K-Drive mods and more customization. These two aspects of gameplay existed in harmony for years, but the second something from the main game of Warframe requires participation in side content, K-Driving goes from a fun optional side quest to an actually kind of difficult activity that it now feels like you need to learn how to play just to get the funny magical girl fish frame. At that point, it's understandable that some people would get frustrated and give up. Although it is still really funny to see how hard some people publicly mauled it about it. Well, I've managed to do it again. I dig just slightly too deep on a fun, silly side activity of Warframe content, and cracked the crust on the massive underground cavern that is game design philosophy, and the nature of quote-unquote optional content. Can't really say I regret it though, so I guess as long as there's still obscure topics in Warframe to talk about, I'll be there, shovel in one hand and my copy of How a Game Lives by Jacob Geller in the other. But, yeah, that's all I got. Oh, wait, no. DE? Make K-Drives usable in indoor tile sets. You did it for Atomocycles literally the moment they came out, and Yareli is literally right there. Let me kickflip through Dr. Entrati's workshop. I can show the indifference the value of human life through the power of pure shredding. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. If you're watching this the day this came out, I'm going to be live on my Twitch playing the new TechRut Encore update and talking more about K-Driving and this video with viewers. So if you liked what we talked about here, come check it out. Otherwise, I won't be held responsible for what happens.